because this is very. I'm confused by it, honestly. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, Andy Dalton gets in his wreck, right? Bryce Young starts. We win a football game. This week, we wait until Wednesday or Thursday of this week, or Wednesday or Thursday of the past week, last week, whatever you want to call it, and Bryce Young is announced as a starter. We assume already that Bryce Young will be the starter. Come to Monday afternoon after you win 2 games in a row with Bryce Young. He seems to be playing with elite-level confidence. I won't say that he's been the best quarterback in the NFL, but at the very bare minimum, if you just look at the guy when he's playing on the field, the emotions are completely different. He looks like he's having fun. He has his confidence back a little bit. He's doing his little celebrations and shit. Cute shit, whatever, cool. I don't understand why Dave Canales is infatuated with not naming him the starter. I don't know if you saw this or you didn't see this.
I didn't see it.
But, yeah, so Monday afternoon, Dave Canales has an interview or has his press conference. And actually, directly after the game, he had his press conference. He said, we don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback. They asked him again, like literally 3 or 4 minutes into his press conference on Monday afternoon. It may have been Dave Newton, actually, that asked him, have you made a decision on who the starting quarterback will be against the Kansas City Chiefs? He says, we don't know. We have a lot of time to prepare. There's some things, Bryce Young has done some great things, blah, 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 blah. We don't know who the quarterback is. What is that all about? Like, I have to know. I would like to hear y'all's opinion on this shit because this is one of the more puzzling things that's happening right now within the organization. I personally don't get it, and I have literally no idea what it is. The only thing that I could guess is that it's just like a motivation tactic for Bryce Young. And Dave Canales has tricked his brain into believing that it's a motivation tactic for Bryce Young to not name him. Because at this point, if you're looking at the situation overall in totality, the only move, and we said this 3 or 4 weeks ago before we even started winning again, when Bryce Young took the reins back over, the only answer is to let Bryce Young finish the season out. So what is the thinking? What is the ideology? What's your opinion on that? I just want to know.
I don't know. It's a difficult question to answer because I think it can be numerous of different things. I think one, like we go back to what we said last week, you kind of already fucked the situation off when Andy was healthy, and then, you named Bryce Young the starter, so you can start there. 2, y'all might hate me for this, but I think Bryce Young could have did a lot more in these 2 games that not even put that in question. Because if Bryce Young throws for fucking 250, 300 yards, then it wouldn't be a question. I also think that we've been winning a lot of these games off the back of Chuba Hubbard and the defense. Changing the quarterback, does that really change that? You just simply don't turn the ball over. You simply make the throws that are there, the plays that are there. Andy Dalton could do that. There's, and then another thing is you also got to remember who the owner is. It's Dave Tepper. So how much control is he really letting Dave Canales have? I know we keep going back to this when it comes to, like, head coaches, but it's just the reality of the situation of the Carolina Panthers. It's almost like a Jerry Jones situation. Dave Tepper always has to have his hand in something. So it's like how much of that can be attributed to that. So I think there's a lot of factors into it, and I also think there could be the motivating factor or the factor of, kind of throw the teams off guard, prepare for both quarterbacks to play. But I think it could be a numerous of different things, and I can't really pinpoint one thing that it could, boil down to, honestly. But those are just my thoughts. I don't know.
I think it's a little bit of gamesmanship. I don't think you want to tip your hat. It kind of gives you some sort of advantage, like a slight advantage when you're, making your opponent prepare for 2 different quarterbacks. They do have slightly different styles of play. Bryce is obviously a little bit more mobile than Andy Dalton is. So I think there's a little bit of that. I think there is a motivational aspect of it too. Like, Bryce, you did lose this job. And like Terrence said, you haven't really done much to actually earn it back, just looking at the numbers. But to that, I will say, I actually thought Bryce, numbers aside, had a really solid game against the Giants, being that if you look at him, he looks a lot more comfortable in the pocket. He is making good decisions. He's not turning the football over, which is exactly what you want to see. And I think you are starting to see that growth from Bryce Young. And while I do think like it's up in the air, like they say it's up in the air, like Bryce might not be our starter next week, I think wholeheartedly the next game that you see the Panthers play, Bryce Young will be suited up as the quarterback one because they know they have a lot more invested in Bryce. He hasn't done anything to lose you these games, so you're going to keep rolling with him. But it is a little bit of gamesmanship in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely think that he will be the starter. I just can't pinpoint to why it's not something that you come out and say. I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, it's just really annoying. And it's like, it's annoying and it's like damn near condescending. And it's like.
So what do you attribute it to the most? Like, out of all of those factors, which one can you, like, say I believe this more than the other? Or you just don't know either?
I really don't know. I think that all of the points that both of you guys just made, I think they're all valid. I mean, if I had to say one that was the least, I would say this upcoming game in particular. I would say the gamesmanship aspect of it, just because, like, bro, I honestly, personally don't think Andy Reid gives a fuck what quarterback you roll out, with all due respect. I think Andy Reid feels like he has one of the best teams in NFL, well, one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. I think he is one of the best coaches of our generation by far. And to be quite frank, I don't think he cares if you roll out Andy Dalton or Bryce Young. I think they have an expectation in Kansas City. And I think we've seen the past 2 years, they've played to their expectation and they've won 2 Super Bowls in a row. And they're currently 9-0. So, I mean, I don't know if the gamesmanship aspect, you know, if that is the reasoning for it. If that is the case, I would just tell Dave Canales, cut the shit. Like, honestly, when you're dealing with a guy like Andy Reid, you know, that shit doesn't work.
Completely different, like, point of view here, but we know Kansas City, they're undefeated. They have one of the best defenses in the league. Steve Spagnuolo is an elite defensive coordinator. Could it be a situation to where it's like this could be a game that the defense could be just so elite that it could even set Bryce back even more as far as a confidence thing if they just fucking maul him? Like, I'm just throwing out situations because, like, this could very much well be one of those games where Steve Spagnuolo can draw up something to where this nigga throws 5 picks. And I'm saying that because fucking Jared Goff, you know what he did to me yesterday.
That's very interesting. So that opens up a whole nother conversation. If that's potentially the case, do you roll Andy Dalton back out there against Kansas City off of your bye week? With this offense moving the way it's been moving?
It depends on what chances you give your team of actually beating Kansas City.
But see, this is kind of, you know, this is where I would have to say, hold on. No, not even on no funny shit. Because you know how I feel about Bryce. I believe Bryce, like, I look at Bryce like a little boy. We've talked about that, right? We had that conversation. Now, if that is the case and that's the thinking, why am I to believe that this nigga should be the leader of my franchise going forward as a fan? We have to hide him. We have an elite quarterback coming in here like Patrick Mahomes with his first opportunity to go toe-to-toe with an elite quarterback like that. Like, I mean, we saw him play against Joe Burrow. That was cool. Oh, actually, he didn't even play against Joe Burrow. So I haven't even really seen you go up against any elite quarterbacks like
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love last year.
C.J. Stroud.
Last year, C.J. Stroud, week 3 or 4? And that was before C.J. Stroud really got in his bag for real. I'm trying to go through it very, very quickly. But, like, if that does not bode well for me if I'm a fan and I'm thinking about it, if you're hiding him.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just throwing a scenario out.
I think it's very plausible. I think it's plausible.
I know it's our job to make content and everything, but I think we're making a whole lot about nothing in particular, really, because I don't think them not really choosing to name Bryce the starter. Like, again, I think it's like a 99.9% chance that Bryce is the starter. The only reason that Bryce wouldn't be the starter is if he got into a car accident with his family.
Huh? I don't know.
Like, something would have to happen off the field. Bryce has won 2 games in a row, and he's been playing well. I watched the game. I watched the game yesterday. Bryce Young had actually a solid game with the opportunities that were given. He missed a few throws, yes, and he misses throws as well. He didn't turn the ball over, and he made some big time throws as well. But the game was predominantly in Chuba's hand. Bryce did exactly what he was asked to do. They didn't put a lot on his plate, and what they did put on his plate, he finished.
Would you roll out Andy Dalton this week or on the 24th?
No, I wouldn't, just for the simple fact, like he said, Bryce has won 2 games. I mean, you can say he hasn't won 2 games, but he hasn't lost you 2 games either. So I wouldn't.
He's been the starting quarterback on the winning team,
And the team is starting to rally behind him.
Yeah, so I would roll him out, just a simple fact based off of that, but. Given the scenario, well, not even a scenario, I mean, it happened. Dave Canales hasn't named him the starter and just said, we don't know. We have a lot of time to prepare. So, I mean, I'm just throwing out scenarios in which, because I don't understand what the fuck, like, what does it hurt by naming him the starter?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why it's extremely puzzling, and that's a little frustrating to me. How would you react if Andy Dalton did start? If Andy Dalton was named the starter in a week and a half, whatever the case may be?
I mean, I would be confused. I would need an explanation. It would take me a lot not to slander everybody in the front office if that was the case. I'll be honest. Because you would have to owe me an explanation behind that.
I agree with that. I'd be very confused.
A media riddle explanation is not going to do it for me. Even though who am I to, ask for a better explanation than what you give to the media, but I'm also a person who doesn't really buy what they tell the media because I know it's all a facade.
I mean, and I wouldn't even sell yourself short and saying, who are you? Nigga, you spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on the team year in and year out. So, yeah, I'm probably like y'all. I need an explanation. Because to me, this shouldn't even really be a conversation. We shouldn't have spent the last 10 or 15 minutes on this. And that's why it's very frustrating when I turn on a press conference and that's what I have to hear and see. Which goes back, I mean, this is why I say, bro, y'all need to like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you need to do, bell notification. Because we be having these conversations. And I said this on Friday as well, just about the conversations that we be having. But this would go back to 3 or 4 weeks ago when I suggested that Dave Canales may not be particularly fond of Bryce Young, or may not feel like he can fix Bryce Young and the mechanical problems that he has and the lack of ability to make certain throws. That would go back to that conversation.
Yeah, that could also be true, but then I will also challenge you by saying, knowing the short fuse that Dave Tepper has, knowing who he is, Bryce Young is saving you your job right now. He's potentially saving you your job.
Okay. I mean, I guess.
So I mean,
is he though?
Yeah,
I don't think Dave Canales came into a situation where he would have been fired after year 1. I don't think that's what we were looking at this year.
Well, for a fact, he's not costing you your job right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you benched him, so it's like you saved your job there. So I mean, I don't know, like I don't know. It gets dicey there. It gets dicey. So I don't really understand the whole. I don't understand the whole we're not naming a starter thing.
I'm just chalking it up to gamesmanship.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. It'll drive you crazy if you think about it too long.